so this is for the Unit 1 test review. Starting with number 1, it says name the ray opposite of YZ. So again, remember what a ray is. A ray, it's hard to see on the screen, but a ray has an endpoint, and then it has, it goes infinitely in another direction, so it has that arrow on the other end. So if you look at YZ going that direction, the right opposite of that would be YX. Remember with rays, you need to start with your endpoint, which means that would be ray YZ. And then I'm going to put the ray symbol above it. Number 2, how many planes contain X, Y, and R? This is a little hard. Okay, so how many planes contain X, Y, and R? So don't necessarily go based off of this picture here, because you might say just one. You have to understand that through any 3 points, there's an infinite amount of planes, and you can't see that in the picture, so this would be infinite amount of planes. This next section is the always, sometimes, and never section. You don't need a picture for these, so don't use that picture above it. That's just going to confuse you. So through 2 distinct points are blank collinear. Remember, any 2 points can make a line. It doesn't matter where those 2 points are. So 2 distinct points are always collinear. Number 4, if 3 planes intersect, their intersection is sometimes a point. 3 planes can intersect at a point. They could also intersect at a line. So that's why that one is sometimes. Number 5, 2 skew lines are blank coplanar. Just a reminder about what skew means. That means they're not parallel and they do not intersect, which means they are non-coplanar. They're not on the same plane. So that one's going to be never. 2 skew lines are never coplanar. They're never going to be on the same plane. Number 6, if 2 planes intersect, then their intersection is always a line. So think about 2 planes that intersect, always at a line. Number 7, 3 distinct points are blank coplanar. Any 3 points can make a plane. So that one's always. 3 points are always coplanar. Number 8, plane A contains F, D, and C. So I'll just mark where those are: F, D, and C. A different plane contains points B, G, C, and D. Which of the following represents the intersection of planes A and B? So A and B are going to cross here at this line. Make sure you understand that that's a line. And that is at line D, C. You can make it as just a line segment, or you can put arrows on the end and make that into a line. So we have answer choices here. So that would be A, D, C. Number 9, use the diagram below to name 2 adjacent angles. Remember that adjacent means that they're back to back. Some people will say that they're right next to each other. Whatever helps you remember that. So 2 angles that would be adjacent. There's a lot of options here. I could say 1 and 2. I could say 3 and 4. I could say 1 and 4, 2 and 3. I could say 5 and 6, 7 and 8. Those are all considered to be adjacent. So I'm just going to say angle 1 and angle 2. Number 10, given point P and point Q, calculate the coordinates of the midpoint. It says use the midpoint formula. So your midpoint formula is you're going to add your x's together. You're going to divide by 2. That's going to get us our x. And then for our y's, we're going to add our y's together, divide by 2, and that's going to get us our y values. Okay, so here I'm going to add my x's. That's -2 plus 5 divided by 2. And then I'm going to add my y's, 5 plus -4, so 5 minus 4 divided by 2. So -2 plus 5 is 3. 3 over 2, I'm just going to leave that as 3 over 2 unless you want to put 1.5. And then 5 minus 4 is 1, divided by 2, that's 1/2, unless you want to change that to 0.5. So our midpoint here is 3 over 2 and 1 over 2. Using the figure at the right, we're going to answer these two questions. So given dr equals x minus 1, so this piece here is x minus 1, and Rm is 2x plus 1, we need to find x. Okay, which means we need to know what this whole thing is. So you have to use the numbers on the number line. So from 5 to 20, that's 15. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to add these two pieces together, and I'm going to set them equal to 15. So x plus 2x is 3x. 1 plus negative 1 is 0, so I have 3x equals 15. Divide by 3. And so x is 5. And that's what it's asking for is x, so that would be 5. And then it's asking what the coordinate of r is. So now you're going to use what you know for x. And we got x is 5. The distance between D and R is x minus 1. And we found x to be 5. So that's 5 minus 1. That's just 4. So that's going to be a jump of 4 from D to R, which means that R is going to be at 9. Number 13, B is a point on AC. Notice it doesn't say that this is in the middle, it just says B is on AC. And it says AB is x plus 4, BC is 3x minus 8, and the whole thing is 28. So we're going to add those two pieces up and set them equal to 28. So x plus 3x, that's 4x. 4 plus negative 8 is minus 4 equals 28. Okay, and then we're going to add 4 to both sides, so that's 4x equals 32. Divide by 4, and so x is 8. And that's what it's asking for, it's just to solve for x. Number 14, if the measure of angle 1 is 3x, and the measure of angle 2 is 5x plus 2, calculate the measure of angle 2. So you have to go off of what you know here. You know that these two angles are going to equal this 90-degree angle. So I'm going to do 3x plus 5x, that's 8x, plus 2 equals 90. I'm going to subtract 2. So 8x equals 88. Divide by 8. And so x is 11. Be careful that you read your question here, because the question says to find the measure of angle 2, which means I need to take this x value and plug it in for x. So 5 times 11 plus 2. 5 times 11 is 55 plus 2 is 57. 15 and 16, we're going to use this figure next to it. So it says if the measure of NQR, so that's this big piece here, is 124, we need to find x. So I'm going to add those two pieces up and set them equal to 124. So x plus 5x is 6x. 10 minus 6 is 4. So 6x plus 4 equals 124. I'm going to subtract 4 from both sides. So 6x equals 120. Divide by 6. And so x is 20. The next part says to find y. Okay, so I know that these two angles added up to be 124. Okay, and I know all three of these angles add up to be 180. So I'm just going to do 180 minus 124, and that's going to get me 56. Given the figure, which is not necessarily true, angle 1 and angle 2 form a linear pair. That is true, okay, because they form a straight line. So that's not our answer, because we're looking for the one that's not true. Angle 1 is equal to angle 2 or congruent. We do not know that, okay, but I'm going to come back to it. And then see, angle 1 and angle 2 are supplementary. They are supplementary because they make this straight angle here. So that one is true, which means our answer here is B. 18, in the figure, what is the value of 5a minus b? So we have to look at what we know here. We know that this is a right angle, okay, and if those are both b, both of these angles, I know those have to be equal. So I'm going to do 2b equals 90. Divide by 2, that's going to be 45. Okay, and then for the A's, I know that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 A's, that's also going to equal 90. Divide by 5, and A is 18. Okay, now I'm just going to plug that into what they asked me to do. So 5A, so that would be 5 times 18, and then minus 45. Okay, and I'm just going to type that into my calculator. So 5 times 18 minus 45, and the answer here is 45. Number 19, what is the distance between these 2 points? We're going to use that distance formula on your paper. So I'm just going to plug these in. So I'm going to have 5 minus 5 squared plus 2 minus 12 squared. 5 minus 5 is 0. 0 squared is just 0, so I'm not concerned with that. 2 minus 12 is negative 10. And negative 10 squared is 100. Okay, but don't forget we still have that square root, and the square root of 100 is 10. Number 20, which of the following is a pair of supplementary angles? Remember, supplementary means 180. So angle 1 and angle 2, those look supplementary because they make a linear pair. If you look at 2 and 4, I don't know that those are supplementary because those are vertical. And then 7 and 4, I don't really know anything about those. So the only thing I do know is that angle 1 and angle 2 are supplementary. Number 21, simplify the expression. So here we're bringing some algebra back in. I need to distribute that too. So it's 3 plus 6x minus 8 plus 6. And then I'm just going to combine like terms. So I have a 6x, and then I have 3 minus 8 is negative 5, plus 6 is positive 1. So 6x plus 1. Nothing to solve, you're just simplifying. 22, what is the point of intersection of the graph y equals 2/3 x plus 7? You need to know here that the y-axis, that means y-intercept, which is going to be that 7. Since it's asking for the point, technically this needs to be as an ordered pair. So it would be 0, 7, but if you just put 7, sure we would count that right. 23, here it's talking about constructions. The construction on the right is an example of what kind of a construction. You can see here, because of these arcs that were made and this line that went through here, that it's bisected that angle. Okay, so this is called an angle bisector. It'll just be like that on the test. You won't have to make one, you'll just have to identify.